So hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. I get a lot of questions from people asking for me to do a case study on about some success stories perhaps, or for my clients. And the problem with that is a lot of my clients don't allow me to make a video about their websites and their backends and stuff like that. They're very sensitive to that kind of thing, and I understand that, and I respect their privacy, but after a lot of asking and a lot of, trying to get my clients to agree, I got one client to agree for me to do a case study on their website. And this case study is very important because I grew their e-commerce store, which is primarily in the UK, and now they're doing business internationally because they're ranking internationally. But originally they were just a UK business. They sold their products in the UK, and the product is very niche, and so it's mainly for the construction industry, for the renovation industry. It's also one of the hardest industries, at least in the UK, for e-commerce, mainly because it's very different. The people you're targeting don't buy during Christmas or Easter. They have their own buying cycles, and also it's technical, so you need to be aware of the technical nuances associated with the industry. And the other problem, especially in the UK, is that there are a lot of businesses that are selling the same product, and so there's no way to distinguish one product for the other than ranking and having lots of credibility. And so this business had been around for 15 years, and they were doing a very good job of selling their products. But then they realized that they were leaving money on the table because their website was not optimized, and they were not getting any sales from their website. Maybe 6 sales a week, 6 sales a year. At best. And so they decided to hire me to do SEO for them. So originally when I came on, it's over 6 months ago. I think I came on last August, September, somewhere along that time. And so when I came on board, they were getting like 25, 30 clicks a day on average. On the best day, they would get like 40 clicks. And conversions was like maybe really low, so I don't know the exact figures. And so they asked me to put together a strategy for them, which I did. I originally did an audit for their site, provided them with an audit. It was one of the paid audits that maybe one of you guys can buy from my website, cloudseo.com, if you're interested. And so then they decided to hire me to implement the audit. And so when I went ahead and I started looking into the site, I went to the back end. Started looking at this was a WooCommerce site. And I started to see like a lot of other issues which were not instantly apparent with the audit. And one of the issues was that technically, like SEO-wise, there were issues, but then there were like, in terms of understanding the subject itself, the people who were selling the product didn't really understand how Google was looking at their site. And so there were quite a few changes that we made, but there were 2 changes I would say that we made to the website that made the biggest difference. The first was the categories, and the second was the internal linking, which I will go into it when I get into my screen. And I will tell you, what I exactly did with the website and how I grew it. So now the website has gone from like 35 clicks, maybe over 6 months ago, to now over 120, 130 clicks. On average, we also get there are days we get 200 clicks, but Search Console doesn't report all of those clicks for some reason, but a lot more conversion. And a single conversion brings in like 4,000 or 5,000 pounds for the business. And so it's just very good that they're doing. And now with them selling the same products internationally, like especially in the US, where they're doing way better than they were doing in the UK. It's like twice of their business is coming in from the US, means that they're doing 3 times more business, because their business in the UK has also grown, and they're also now doing business in Europe. So, and all of this had been done in like 6 months with just good SEO, which I'll go into. There's still a lot of work that we need to do on the site, but there's an approval process. It's a big company, and so there are a lot of people that need to approve whatever changes that I suggest, whatever things I suggest. So, the process takes a little bit of time. So I don't want to bore you guys too much with talk. Let's jump into my screen. I'll show you the Google Search Console, and I'll tell you exactly what I did for this website to grow it.
All right, so this is the website which we're going to study today, or this is the case study for this website. And this is a client site, so I can't reveal the exact domain. I also can reveal the exact URLs and the URL structure. because I'm not allowed to do that. Well, but the reason for this case study is I want to reveal exactly what I did for this client to get them from where they were, which was 65 clicks 6 months ago, to now over 183 clicks. And I did this all without building any backlinks. So there was no active link building. There was no outreach done for this client. We also did not do press releases, interestingly, for this client, which I usually do. And the reason was that they had certain legal obligations for which every press release that we did would have to be, it will have to be scrutinized by their higher management, and there was a huge hassle. And so they decided against doing a press release. So literally no backlinks were built. Built to this website. But as you can see, it did pretty well. But if you go beyond that, so if you look at 12 months, you will see exactly where we were before I started doing SEO for the site. So this is a very old site. So this site's been around for like 6-7 years. And the business has been around for like 15 years, but they've not done any SEO for this site. And I didn't really think they needed SEO. So in the past, it would be like 35 clicks, 19 clicks, 26 clicks. And you can see this is from last year, June, July last year. And then when we started on SEO for the client, this is when we started doing it in August. It started to pick up. And then you can see there's a jump in September. And this is also one of those industries that does not sell very well or doesn't do a lot of business in December. And so December went very well too, all things considered, but obviously it was not a December boom. And then we did pretty well. And so December, you see this slump overall. So this is like the 24th of December, 23rd, 24th, and 25th of December, when the sales dip anyways. So other than that, this website has been growing. You also notice that we've not been hit by any algorithm updates. And so not the September update, not the November update, and certainly not the March update, which is currently rolling out. And so there were a few things we did for this site. It's also in a highly competitive niche, which means that just a single click over here means that it's a £5,000 sale, and so it's one of those industries where every click will make you a lot of money, which is why I got paid a lot of money to do SEO for these guys, because they were like, okay, if you can increase our click-through rates and you can increase our sales, you'll make a lot of money with us. So anyway, so what did we do for the site? So there were a few things we did. The first thing there was, obviously, if you look at our average search, we went from 21.6, and then a year later, we're now at number 10 for average, and we're ranking for literally dozens of keywords. But the main keyword here, and for which we have this EMD, which I'm also not going to get into, but this business has another website, and that website we've not done SEO for. And so what we did was, around this time, we went ahead and started to optimize all the main category pages for all of their products. And they had literally hundreds of products within what you would believe would be like a single category, because this is one of those industries where, it would appear it's a single category, but when you dig really deep down, technically, there are different categories. And so initially they just had like 6 categories. And what we did was we then broke their categories down into further categories. So we started with 6 categories, and then we ended up with 20 categories. And there was a whole approval process to get that done. And then once we had those 20 categories, we then re-optimized the old content for the existing 6 categories, and also then made a few changes to those because this was not very well optimized. And then we added new and fresh content to the new categories that we created. And this was around late August and early September. So if you look at here, let's see. So this is September. And so this is when we actually started doing it. And so you'll see that there is this gradual improvement in rankings. And there's also gradual improvement in overall clicks, because as the rankings improve, so did the clicks. And so in December, what we started doing is we started working on the internal linking. So what we did was I built a semantic map for the website. And because it was technical, we had to really dig down into this and figure out like how each product would be semantically relevant to the other product, and then link and create backlinks, create internal links within these products. So this is when we actually started doing it. So we started building internal links, and we did that for 2 months. Semantically, I built a semantic map for the internal linking, and then we redid all the internal links for the website. And this was a little time consuming because the old website's internal links had to be removed and new internal linking had to be done. And once we started doing that, you can see again, there is this gradual improvement again as the year moves on, and we're 6 months into doing SEO for this business. The client is so happy with us doing SEO that they're not even asking like what we're doing on the site. But now what we have planned for the site is mainly to look at generating user manuals and how-to guides that would then be siloed to these pages. And also we're trying to get approval for redoing the category pages because they're not really user-friendly. So that's going to be a little back and forth with higher management. But so far, it's like if we continue to do what we're doing, we're probably going to be the number one website in the UK for this product.
All right, guys, I hope you guys like the video. So the takeaway here is understand what you're selling and understand your audience, and then make sure that you segment your categories exactly based on the products you're selling, because Google might not see your categories as being relevant to the products that are on the page. And so Google can tell like what products you're selling and how they're relevant to your category. And so make sure that's hyper relevant, and then do content that's optimized. And then once you've done that, you then make sure that you're semantically linking all of your product pages, your category pages, your blog pages, and you're doing blogs that your potential reader wants to read, and you're not just doing generalized blogs. So I hope you guys found this video useful. Like and subscribe as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.